Death. It has a design for all of us. That's why we have to enjoy every single moment that we have, because we never know when we're gonna go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Black Lagoon. I'm your host, Nick, and tonight I just watched the new Final Destination Bloodlines. Plagued by a violent and reoccurring nightmare, a college student heads home to track down the one person who might be able to break the cycle of death and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably awaits them all. Now, I haven't seen a Final Destination movie in a really long time. I remember growing up on these movies, seeing it on cable, most likely the Sci-Fi Channel. So it usually cuts out all the nasty bits, but nevertheless, I always had fun with those movies growing up. They definitely traumatized me as a kid. I don't like roller coasters. I have a fucking huge fear of them, thanks to the Final Destination movies. Semi trucks, again, another big one. Airplane rides, I do them, but again, I'm definitely afraid of heights, and I'm scared that there will be a malfunction happening on a plane. Final Destination has done its work. I don't think I've seen any of the other movies past the third one. It's probably not true, probably all the way up to 4. And then I didn't see Final Destination 5. So this movie is the 6th film in the series, titled Final Destination Bloodlines, and it is the final movie that Tony Todd was in. Unfortunately, he passed away, so this movie was dedicated to him. He was in every single previous Final Destination movie as William Bloodworth. That was his character's name. And they do a really nice send-off for his character. It really had me going, because the entire scene was basically his farewell to everybody, because he knew he was gonna die. They kind of used his sickness, he had stomach cancer, as an element in the story. So not only was his character dying from cancer, he was dying from cancer in real life. So it's just like this reality of him saying farewell to everybody and being like, we just have to enjoy every single moment that we have in this life. You don't know when we're gonna go, and that was basically it. And he smiles at the camera, and it's just such a sweet send off. It had me going. I think I was probably the only one crying in the theater, because I'm such a huge fan of Tony Todd. Although I've never seen Candyman, and that's probably blasphemy to the horror fans. I've heard great things about Candyman, but I know him for the Final Destination movies. I know him for the Night of the Living Dead remake, which he does an amazing job in that movie as well. And I'm pretty sure I've seen him in plenty of other movies. I just can't really think of them off the top of my head, but everybody knows him for Candyman. Anyways, we have this really beautiful beginning sequence that is set in the 1950s era, and turns out that this is a reoccurring nightmare for our main protagonist, Stephanie. Stephanie is having these reoccurring nightmares of her grandmother, and it's just the same nightmare over and over again, and it's ruining her life. So she sets out to contact her, and the only way to do that is by going back to her family and speaking with her uncle and figuring out where she is. And eventually she finds out. The movie is extremely violent. I'm not going to really go into details about the story, but no spoilers here. This is obviously a spoiler-free review. The movie is grotesque. There are so many moments in this movie. I looked over at my wife, and she's just like fucking tensing up, pulling her hoodie over her head. And I love to see that. When there are super fucking tense moments which this movie plays a huge part in. It's what Final Destination is so good at doing, not knowing when the horrible thing is about to happen, and you're like, the camera is showing you like little things on the set, and it's just like a rake underneath a trampoline, and it keeps showing you that, and it's like, oh nope, psych, that's that you thought, but this is actually going to happen, something 10 times worse. I always enjoy when a director likes to tease the audience, making them think, oh god, this is coming, and then nope. A little shock tease, if you will. When I watch these movies, I like to try to figure out what's going to happen. And this movie, like, you can, like, if you're really paying attention, I got you. Oh, I got you. Everybody say hi to Toaster Strudel. Okay, go on. I saw everything coming from a mile away, and that's just me, like, really paying attention to the detail in the story, and it's not a bad movie whatsoever. I had a blast from beginning all the way to end. This is probably one of the best Final Destination movies that they've ever made, and that's a really crazy thing. They've done 6 movies so far. I haven't seen the last one. I didn't hear great things about it. Wasn't really a fan of the 4th movie, which, kind of falls off there. I haven't seen them in a really long time. So, but from my recollection, the second movie with the log semi truck, the huge car crash scene, that probably was my favorite at one point in time. But now this movie has kind of taken its spot. I think eventually at some point in time I'm gonna do like a tier list. I'm gonna go through the movies and stuff. That's a huge project that I don't really think I have time to get into, but it would be nice to do something like that at some point in time. But I love the switch up, because usually, in the intro of the movie, usually we get the main character has a premonition of horrible events about to happen or whatever. You get the whole play out of all their deaths, and then actually a premonition. It hasn't happened yet, and then the main character stops death, and then there's your Final Destination movie, and now death is picking them off one by one. Instead, this time around, it's a dream of a premonition, which is not such a nice, like, refreshing take on the Final Destination movies. I really enjoy that. But that entire intro sequence was fucking amazing. All the deaths in this movie are just absolutely fantastic. I really have to see this movie again because it was so much fun. And the ending, the creme de la creme of gore on top of this nice cake of death is just it was so good. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, if this doesn't happen by the end of the movie, then I'm gonna be kind of left disappointed. And then it happens, and I'm like, I'm satisfied. Honestly, I'm really impressed with it being the 6th movie in the series. They've really outdone themselves this time around. Honestly, it just goes to show you that, yes, we're in the modern era now, and there are going to be shitty horror movies out there. I have had so many conversations with people saying, I don't like modern horror movies because they're all shit. And it's like, you do realize that you have to sift through the shit to find the gold, right? Because not every single movie from the era that you like is all gonna be gold. Like, I only love horror movies from the 80s, There are a lot of duds in the 80s, same thing with the 70s, and so on and so forth. So, to me, this was a nice, refreshing take on the Final Destination series. I wasn't let down whatsoever. I kind of went in with low expectations, but it surpassed that by a mile. Don't get me wrong. Even though I went in with low expectations, I was still excited to see a Final Destination movie in theaters, which was my first time. So there are some nice references to the previous Final Destination movies in here. I believe the revolving door is one of them. And then we get the log truck again, which is really nice. The grandmother character and the mother character, it kind of gives me the Blumhouse Halloween feel. The grandmother kind of goes crazy and locks herself away. A house that's gated off. The granddaughter approaches the gate, presses the button, and talks to her through a speaker. It was the grandmother was very much like a Laurie Strode type character, and same thing with the mother. The mother was traumatized by the grandmother, so she left, but then she comes back after some events happen, and the kind of whole like traumatic environment growing up with somebody who is agoraphobic, and then realizing that you're going to be passing that down to your daughter, so you leave. uh yeah, there was like this like key element with these characters that maybe like think that kind of feels like how like the recent Halloween movies. It definitely doesn't kill the vibe or anything like that, but it just kind of made me chuckle. I'm like, that kind of feels like Halloween, huh? Anyways, there are so many great set pieces in this movie, so many intense moments, and um a movie really does its job with playing with your expectations and your emotions. There was another thing, Tony Todd's character kind of if this is spoilers for you, I would just stop here. There's a little boy in the intro sequence of the movie, and I kind of called it. I was like, that's going to be Tony Todd's character when he was a little boy. The grandmother is going to save Tony Todd's character, like save all these people. It's really fucking cool because I guessed right. I mean, there was a lot of moments where I guessed right. I'm like, oh, this person's gonna die this way. Oh, I'm seeing like they're like little breadcrumbs, and if you really pay attention, then of course you're gonna guess right. Anyways, I but it doesn't ruin the experience for me because I really had a fun time with this movie. It was really violent. Again, um, if you guys plan on going to see it, I definitely suggest going to see it at the movies. Um, just to experience it. I know a lot of people just say, oh, I'd rather stream it, but you're not really getting the full experience. Um, but yeah, other than that, I had a really good time with this movie. So with that being said, um, before I end this episode, I just want to say that if you guys enjoy what I've been putting out, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you've seen the movie, haven't seen the movie yet, are you excited for it? Also, our Patreon page is up and open. You can join for free. You can subscribe to tiers to get extra bonus content and stuff. I'm posting content on there as we speak. I have the extended cut of the Tour of the Living Dead, where me and my wife and I take a tour to Pennsylvania to visit George Romero's Night of the Living Dead graveyard and the Monroeville Mall. And then I posted the uncut interview with David Howard Thornton, where Brian and I have a nice sit down and chat with David Howard Thornton himself. It's like, oh, it's probably like an hour and 30 minutes long, something like that. Um, but you can view that on Patreon for free if you want to. That's extra content for you. There's also going to be exclusive content that I plan on putting on there. Anything to support the channel is greatly appreciated. We're going to have a nice little community area where we can all chat. And then I'm going to be doing polls in the future for certain movies that we decide to cover. And you guys are going to be able to vote on that. It's going to be really fun. I hope you guys decide to join. This has been Black Lagoon. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I'll see all of you in the next episode.